Hi, I'm Gina. Welcome to my channel. I've just been through an interesting exercise. In order to make some more room for more Elvis books that are on the way, I decided to go through my books and sort them out into some sort of order, author, subject, photographs, whatever. And it's been interesting. Now the top shelf up there, mixture of picture books and some of the bigger books. The blank space here is all the books I've got on the floor, I'll be going through in a minute, that have been written by people that supposedly knew Elvis very well. The next row, you've got people like Alana Nash, Jerry Hopkins, Peter Guralnick, some of the well-known ones. And the bottom row, let me see, which is down there, are the big heavy picture books, which I'm afraid to put on the other shelves in case the whole damn bookcase topples over. And then I've got a few those books that are too big to go on the bookcase anyway. And on the floor, to be sorted out and put back on the shelf, I've got the books that have been written by people that knew Elvis. I'm going to go through them because it's really interesting, and you sort of start to wonder how much of it is truth and how much of it is just utter, well, I won't say what I was going to say, but yeah, rubbish. Okay, I'll start with Elvis's. I've sorted them out into types. Start with Elvis's family. Okay. By family, I mean whether they're married or cousins or whatever. Elvis and me, of course. Priscilla, enough said. This one's interesting. Elvis, my dad, supposedly written, unauthorised biography of Lisa Marie. And it's obviously not written by, it's Lisa, it's written by David Adler and Ernest Andrews. When I first got that, I did read it. Well, I don't know. The good and the bad years at Graceland, her battle of wills with Priscilla's live-in lover, her battle with drugs and the bad crowd. The birth of Elvis's son, let's see. Anyway, it was written before she died, so in retrospect of what's happened since, it could be well worth reading again to have another look at it. This one, where are we? Precious Memories, Elvis, by Donna Presley and Edie Hand. Now these are some of, Elvis's cousins. I have done reviews of most of these books. So again, most of this I think is fairly truthful. There could be a bit of elaboration in there. Some of the memories might not be as clear as but yeah, it's basically about the family. It's not sort of gossip stuff about Elvis. It's just the family recollections in the early days. So that's a good book. Then we go on to the infamous Stanley family. Okay, Elvis, We Love You Tender, Dee Presley, Billy, Rick and David, as told to Martin Torgoff. Well, sensational. Yep, the best and closest look at the private life of Elvis. Let's see. The story is told by those closest to Elvis. Dee was his stepmother. Well, yeah, they weren't that bloody close to Elvis. They might have been in some way. Anyway, look, there's some good photos in there. Different ones. Some of them I've seen before, some of them haven't. And when was that published? Ooh, I think after he died. Let me see. Oh, yeah, 1980, that one. I'll just go back to that. Lisa, when was that published? Okay, that one was published in 1990. The Precious Memories, going back tracking here, sorry about that, published, 1997, so they've all been around for a few years, quite a few years. Okay, then we've got Raised on Rock, Growing Up at Graceland by David Stanley. The Stanley family were bloody busy, weren't they? There's a bit of, not so nice stuff about Elvis in there. This was published in 1996. Billy Stanley, the other Stanley, The Fate of Elvis. Now, this one actually was fairly recently produced and published, I should say. Let's see, I think. And it's more about Elvis's religious beliefs. And yeah, 2022. So he took a few years to write that. And because I think he ended up being a minister himself. So yeah, there's probably a bit more truth in it. That's quite a nice book. Very, very readable. I enjoyed that one. Okay, so much for the family. Now, Elvis's girlfriends. I have got Linda's book, but I've lent it to someone and I can't remember where it is, but eventually I'll get it back. Okay, we've got June Juanico and The Twilight of Memory. I wasn't sure. It took me a while to get that book because I really wasn't sure if I'd enjoy it. It's a hardback. But yeah, I did enjoy it. It was just quite good. Let me see. That was published in 1997. Gee, a lot of these people wrote their books in the 1990s, didn't they? Okay. And we've got Anita, Elvis and Anita Wood, Once Upon a Time. That's another book that I held off getting for a while, but after I saw it was starting to become rare, I thought, well, if I'm going to read it, if I'm going to get it, I better get it now. So that's written by her daughter, of course. Let's see, and yeah, this is a good book too. I think it's fairly truthful. Oh yeah, 2012. Yeah, that's not so old. And then we have Elvis and Ginger. What's the fiance? Now, this again is a fairly recent book, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed this. I felt sorry for Ginger. I think she was so young when she got involved with Elvis, and Elvis being Elvis, he plucked her out of the myriad of women, decided she was going to be the next one in his life, and installed her in Graceland, and she tried to go home to her family now and then, and he arced up. Anyway, yeah, that's a good story. So, that's 2012. 2012 did I say? Let me see. But, no, it's later than that, I think. Where are we? 2014. Yeah, Elvis and Ginger. And this one by Linda's best friend, Jeanne Lemay Dumas, which I did a review of not so long ago. This is sort of mostly photo. Oh, there's writing in it, but there's a lot of photos of Graceland and Linda and Jean and various people. That was published in 2007. So, yeah, again, I like that book. There's not gossip in it. It's really nice stuff about the times she spent with Elvis and Linda. Right, so that's the girlfriends. Now we have, okay, I'll go on to people in and around Graceland. We've got Inside Graceland by Nancy Rooks. Now, one of the other maids, can't remember her name, wrote a book, and I'd love to get hold of it, but it's pretty hard to get hold of. Anyway, I'll keep going. I'll keep looking for it. Let me see. This one was published. A lot of these little books are self-published too, and they're only a limited run. So, yeah, 2005. Yeah. So you know you're lucky to get hold of them. I mean, the gatekeepers, Vesta, Uncle Vesta, and I think, Travis. I think some of the other gatekeepers wrote books too, which I haven't got hold of. I'd like to. My Life with Elvis by Becky Yancey. I bought this a long time ago. The Fond Memories of a Fan Who Became Elvis's Private Secretary. Well, that's an exaggeration I've heard since then. She wasn't his private secretary. She worked in the office with Vernon and Patsy and a few of the others. Okay. Let's see, 1977. So, let's see. Gossip. Yeah, I don't know. It was published in 1912. Elvis died in 1976. No, 77. I don't know whether this is published or written. Oh yeah, it was. It must have been written just after Elvis died. She got a bandwagon pretty quick, didn't she? I've read a few negative reports about it. I must read it again because it's a long time since I've read it. Then we have Elvis Remembered by one of his nurses, Letitia Tish Henley Kirk, which again I did a copy of, a review of a little while ago. That was a good one. Lots of photos in that, mostly photos, some good articles. And another book by the same lady, Taking Care of Elvis by Letitia. And again, you know, some really nice stories. She paints Elvis in a good light. Yeah, and again, a lot of photos. Again, I've reviewed it, so unless somebody wants to see that again, we'll leave that. Okay, now we have where else can we go? All right, the Mafia, the Memphis Mafia. Okay, the Mafia. Of course, we have Elvis, What Happened by Red West, Sonny West, and Dave Hebler. No need to say any more about that one. Then we have Still Taking Care of Business by Sonny West. And Mark over at 100% Pure Elvis recently did a little review of this book, or mentioned it in a group of books that he was talking about, and he said he really enjoyed this book. Sonny really did love Elvis. I mean, look, he was with Elvis, you know, a long time, from when he was a teenager. And when you know somebody that long, things are going to go wrong over a period of time. We've all had friends that we've known for a long time, and the friendship has, you know, either been destroyed or injured, and well, not the right word, but you know what I mean, in some way. So, especially under the pressures that they were under, and Elvis and Sonny and the rest of them. But yeah, look, I enjoyed that book. I thought it was good. Oops. And then we have The Elvis Experience by Dave Hebler, Elvis's bodyguard and karate instructor. Again, good book. I don't think there was anything terribly negative in it. And he provides insights about the controversial book Elvis, What Happened. So as Dave is one of the authors of that. And he, he says he certainly, I think he felt bad about that because the book didn't turn out the way they wanted it to, thanks to the Dunleavy, the guy that edited it. Anyway, yep, interesting book. And lastly, Inside Elvis, Ed Parker, one of the bodyguards, I think, wasn't he? Yeah. Elvis is unfulfilled, Elvis' secret fears, sex and drugs in a man. Who was Ed Parker? This is produced in 2012, again, a self-published book. Yep. I have read it, I just can't remember now what it was about. Well, I know what it was about. It was about Elvis and his relationship with this guy, but... Okay, now more of Elvis's entourage. If I Can Dream, Elvis's Own Story by Larry Geller and Joel Spector. Yep. Hard to say how much is, you know, really true in this. Well, true, but maybe, you know, enhanced a bit. So, interesting book. I think Larry Geller's written a couple of books about Elvis, actually. This one, Jerry Schilling, Me and a Guy Named Elvis. Really loved that book. Another one, I think Jerry was I think he idolised Elvis pretty much all his life. He did his best to be, you know, a good friend to Elvis. So, and it, you know, comes up well in that book. Story, when was that published? 2007. Okay, then we've got Me and Elvis by Charlie Hodge with Charles Goodman. This is I've had this book. You know, I don't even know where I got it. I think it must have been in an op shop or something, but it's very hard to get hold. I don't know if it's been republished, but this is the original one, 1984. pretty much self or Castle books. Yeah, just a paperback. But yeah, no, great book. Charlie Hodge was certainly one of Elvis's dearest and closest friends, as well as being on the stage to help him with the scarves and harmonising and so on. Okay, Joe Esposito, Good Rockin' Tonight, another good book. Joe Esposito and Alina Umana, whoever she is. Yeah, photos, and this was published in 1994. And Joe actually wrote some more books about Elvis. This one's called Remember Elvis. At the heart of this landmark project are over 200 interviews with many of Presley's most intimate associates, as well as some of the biggest names in the film and recording industries. Memorable co-stars, girlfriends, legendary entertainers. So it's not, well, Joe put it together, but it's interviews with various people that have been in and out of Elvis's life and what they said. So yeah, that's a good book, because it's, unless any of the people have said something that wasn't true, which I don't remember. I don't think they did, from what I've read of it. It's good. I love, reading stories by, well, these are all stories by people that said they knew Elvis, but the lesser known people who drifted in and out of Elvis's life briefly, like movie stars, production, people that weren't with him all the time. They're the people who got little snapshots of Elvis and their life, and yeah, interesting. When I say it was produced, 2006, that one, yeah. And he did another one, Celebrate Elvis. Now this is Volume 1 Collector Series, and this is pretty much the same thing. Private conversations, never before released interviews. How often do you hear that? Rumour busters, Elvis trivia and facts, question and answer with Joe. Okay, Celebrate Elvis series. Celebrate Elvis is a series that will leave no stone unturned, from rumour busters to private personal memories, experiences to emotionally gripping fan interviews. An ongoing collaboration with fans from around the world that are interested in preserving and broadening the Presley legacy. Now, I don't know. I think there are other issues. This is Volume 1. I'm pretty sure there are more, but I haven't actually found them. If anybody watching this can tell me if they know of any other volumes. Yeah, there's no photos, it's all text. And that was published in, let's see, 2007. So, yeah. Okay, that's the entourage. Oh no, not more of the entourage. They were busy too. Elvis Portrait of a Friend by Marty Lacker, Patsy Lacker and Leslie S. Smith. Who knows better the story only a friend could tell? Well, you start to wonder, don't you, whether he was a friend or not. I read this and it was, gee, it's an old book. What have we got here? 1979, so again, written on not long after Elvis died, and makes you wonder when they do it that quick that they're just capitalising on, Elvis's death. But then again, you think, well, the sooner they get their memories down, because I know what I'm like with Elvis's concert. 47, 48 years ago, I can't remember everything. I wish at the time I wrote down the songs he was singing when he was singing them, so I had a list of them, but I wished I could have written down more of my memories as soon as possible after the concert. I don't know, it's very hard. And the longer time goes on, you do forget things, or they become changed in your mind depending on what influences you become under by talking to other people and so on. So yeah, maybe Marty did the right thing by writing this so soon after Elvis died, because he remembered things that he probably wouldn't remember years down the track. And we've got Elvis, My Best Man by George Klein. And this was a great book. Priscilla says it was told with class. Well, she's got to admit she's right about that. Yeah, another friend of Elvis that knew Elvis from school days and was with him all along, pretty much on and off. So Jerry Lee Lewis says, George Klein was there from the beginning and there till the end. This book is fact. Dick Clark. George was with Elvis from the beginning. He personally knows the story. And so on. Yeah, so yeah, excellent book. I enjoyed that. That one's worth grabbing if you can get it. That was published in 2010. My Best Man. Then we've got Elvis, Truth, Myth and Beyond. An intimate conversation with Lamar Fike, Elvis Presley's closest friend. Well, shit. Where did he get that from, closest friend? I mean, I wish Elvis, while he was alive, had to turn around and said in public, this person is my closest friend. I don't think he would have said that about anyone, actually. I mean, all his friends had different relationships with him. So, who knows? Who knows the truth? 400 questions you always wanted to ask about Elvis. So this was written 2016. Yeah. So these are questions posed by, I presume, fans. I don't know. Introduction. Yeah, it's a different book. Like I said, I did read it when I first got it. Now I can't remember. It's not a story. It's just a whole bunch of little comments and stuff. So, yep, it's quite good. Okay, next we have Elvis's band members, musicians. Now this is a great book. That's Alright Elvis by Scotty Moore. Now I believe this has been republished under a different title, and I'm pretty sure from what I've heard that it's the same book. I don't think he's written two books about Elvis. He might have, I might be wrong. Again, somebody can put me right. This was published in 1997. Yeah, so great book by Scotty Moore. Again, just detailing the life, the times he spent with Elvis on the road in the early days. On stage with Elvis Presley, the backstage stories of Elvis's legendary TCB band. James Burton, Ronnie Tutt, Glenn Hardin and Jerry Schiff. So, and Joe Gershio too, as told to Stuart Coupe, forward by Jerry Schilling. So I guess the author interviewed those people separately, and yeah, and he's written, let me see, each chapter. Where are we? Yeah. Just trying to figure out, where are we? Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Whether each chapter is by a different artist, the vocal groups. Elvis has left the building. Yeah, no, they're not individual chapters by individual people. They're just interviews and stories with those people scattered throughout the book. But yeah, again, not sensational sort of stuff. This is really interesting, the backstage stories about travelling and performing on the road with Elvis. My Life Before, During and After Elvis Presley by John Wilkinson. He's rhythm guitarist. Rhythm guitarist? Rhythm guitar, yeah. And this is good. This is John's life story, actually. So from when he was a child and how he met Elvis as a kid in the 50s, and then many years later Elvis contacted him and remembered him and said, I want you to come and work with me. He was pretty rapt. But yeah, that's a nice book. That really, he seems like a really nice guy, John. And we have The Gospel Side of Elvis by Joe Moschio, who was one of the singers in the Imperials, wasn't he? I think. Yeah. In the pages of The Gospel Side of Elvis, Joe takes you along his journey as he stood by Elvis on stage during electrifying performances and in his turbulent private life. The constant tie that always bound them professionally and personally was gospel music. So I remember when I read this book wasn't so long ago, and I did the review of it. I think it was nearly in tears when I did the review. It really is. It's quite a beautiful book about Elvis. I like this guy. I like the way he writes. Published in 2007. Yeah, so the gospel side of Elvis. And the Elvis you didn't know, memories of living and working with the man we called our friend, Donnie Sumner and Ed Hill. Again, they were the members of the J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. During the years we worked and lived with Elvis, we made an immeasurable number of memories with the man we knew as our friend. This book's written in a weird sort of way, actually. It's quotations and write-ups and descriptions, and yeah, it's, well, different. Anyway, it's okay. There's no sensational stuff in it. It's just their memories written in their way, I guess. Then the Genuine Elvis is a bit different. Photos and Untold Stories About the King. This is a little book. Ronnie McDowell, Eddie Hand and Joe Meadle. Now, it says here, anyway, I've got to find it inside. Untold Stories and Personal Memories from Those Who Knew Elvis Best. In artwork, where are we? Okay, anecdotes, contributions from Jerry Schilling, Louise Smith, widow of Elvis's cousin, and George Klein, Pat Byrne, Gordon Stoker. Yeah. Compiled by Entertainment Industry Insiders. It's a must-have for any Elvis fan. Yeah, so again, this is just short stories and photos and so on. But Ray Walker, the people at the Jordanaires, just different people that knew Elvis, high school friends, Charlie Watt, disc jockey. Yeah. Okay. Right. And the last lot of books I will go through. Oops. Over here. Now this is a good book. The Elvis Presley I Knew by Robert C. Cantwell. He was one of the police in Denver that Elvis became very friendly with over there. And it's a great book. It's really, really nice. I mean, this guy, obviously admired Elvis immensely and went to lots of events with him, looked after him security-wise when he was, performing over there in Denver. Let's see. Apparently he did a bit of, he wasn't a bodyguard. I think he just worked with the police force. Let's see. Where are we? Published. Yep, 2013. So, yeah. Very readable. Very nice. Very nicely written. Good on you, Robert. My Army Days with Elvis by Johnny Lang. One of the channels I watch by two girls, I think they're in Memphis or Tennessee somewhere, they actually went to this guy's house and talked to him about his memories of Elvis, and that was really interesting. So yeah, that's not a bad book. I'm not quite sure whether it's written by his son, Johnny Lang. Let me see. Published in 2023. Yeah. Go try and try. Yeah, Jeffrey Lang, the son of the author. Okay. So, the son, yeah, his son kept on saying to his dad, why don't you write the book about him, and he wouldn't. And apparently he had a lot of Elvis's photos of Elvis, and someone, a con man, stole them, and he made off with them, never came back. So, which is a shame. Oh yeah, as time went on, the notion of any book publishing idea would remain he would say, what's the point since most of my photos are gone? Yeah, terrible shame. Anyway, so eventually he wrote the book at 87. So he must have had a good memory to remember some of the things he's remembered. And this one, The Rebel and the King, by Nick Adams. Again, Nick Adams spent a lot of time with Elvis in the early days. Good friends. Went places together in Hollywood and in Memphis and so on. So yeah, I enjoyed that book. That was worth reading. A lot of good stuff. Right, now the last three books I've left to last because won't mince my words, they're trash. Okay. Lucy D. Barban and Dari Matera. Are you lonesome tonight? Elvis's one true love and the child he never knew. This girl said she slept with Elvis once and became pregnant and had the baby, and concealed to the child from him and the world to save him from scandal.